Hello, hello, hello. Welcome again to another episode of my Mythic Keystone series. And this time we're finally doing the Stonevault. In case you're not reading the description of my videos, on the last video I did, my team with the Russians unfortunately disbanded. There were some internal struggles within the team and we couldn't resolve them, so we disbanded. So I didn't time anything actually in those 2-3 weeks. I wasn't really playing. I mean, I was, but I wasn't timing anything. And I found a new team, and that's one of the keys that we did. As of recording, this happened to be the fastest Stonevault 17, which is very nice. So, as always, I'm gonna walk you through the key and what I did. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm not streaming with cam or recording this with cam because I've been sick this entire week and I look like shit. So I'm not my usual handsome self, so you have to do without my face. Okay, alright. Bad joke, I know. Okay, let's start. I low-key hate this dungeon because I don't do well in situations like there being 15 mobs on the screen and having to like navigate through it. So what I'm doing here is, oh, you can't even see the mobs, so bad camera work. But my goal here is to outrange the one golem that does the stones, and also of course do like the most DPS I can do in that pack to burst down the golems and to burst down all of the smaller things in that pool. And if I see people dropping and I'm running out of atonements, I just start kind of rapture shielding people, and of course using my own dev CDs and so on and so forth. And this pack does very quickly with lust and potion and whatnot. And you get to the second part of this room, which are these golems here, that you will also outrange as a priest generally. The evoker should also outrange it. They normally can't, so they just line it here. I'm not sure if I am far enough here. Let's see. Well, I just line it. Who cares? And my goal here is to like vaguely line up my Shadow Fiend with the 2 slams. I don't really think too hard about it because you're playing on a key level that even when you don't have healing for these people, well, they will pop a dev CD or they will heal themselves up or whatever. It's not like it's all on you. And this might be different from your puck keys where the DPS are just kind of expecting to get healed up to 100% in between those AoE slams. Like, of course you should, but if you don't manage to, for whatever reason, they will know how to help themselves. That's basically what I'm trying to tell you here. Yeah, I'm like losing a lot of glows here. I don't know. I would be a bad DPS player, I think. But I'm mostly concerned with not dying. Yeah, I failed to outrange it here. Even though I have the range skills, I don't know, I'm just kind of playing it not perfectly. Well, at least outrange this one. And we just kill it. So not super clean from a DPS perspective, but at least everyone lives, so that's the most important thing. Okay, this first boss here. The way most disc priests like to play this is to do 1-1-4. So you do 1 spike in the beginning, 1 spike second, and 4 on the slam. And to heal that, you kind of heal it in a little bit of a peculiar way. The first one I actually break, but normally the evoker does it. And I also do Shadow Fiend on pull here. Normally I won't, but because it's on pull and you kind of get the Shadow Fiend off before the time where you need the second one, basically. And the way I like to play this is I pre-atone the people, and then I use Shadow Fiend like after the second explosion, and then I radiance into a penance and smite when the final things go off. So it's a little bit script. It's very scripted actually, but You can also play Halo here. It's actually not bad. It like replaces a smite in that case, and because you're like holding Mindbender anyway, you're not losing Mindbender uptime really on the fight by picking Halo or whatever. Well, let's see. See, and the first spike I only heal with a Mind Blast, Nitty Mind Blast and a Radiance. Here I will also give us a little bit of a buffer with Rapture, smiting in between to make the shield bigger, and then here I'll wait until everybody has gotten some damage, and then I use Shadow Fiend, Mind Blast, and then I try to Radiance into the damage with the Reprimand. Yeah, and you basically do this the whole fight. The tank debuff is sometimes the tank will call for you to dispel it immediately because they want to use their own dev CDs for that. And it also does a lot of damage actually to the tank. Sometimes they don't have anything and then you should dispel it. Well, they should call it mostly. And again, second part of this slam combo. Yeah. I'm not sure if this is the best way of healing this. As you can see, there's a way to fit like 2 reprimands into your Mind Blast, Mindbender window. And sometimes I don't squeeze the first reprimand in before the final spikes go off. Sometimes I do. I'm not sure what's better. You probably can do you can probably fit 2 reprimands in like in the same way you do it with Rashanan, for example, on the long lasting dot. Let's see if I do it here. Mindbender. No. See, I hold the reprimand here for this part. I could have used one in the beginning, but I didn't. I'm not sure if it's a misplay per se, but I think you can, especially if you have high haste, you can fit in 2 in your 1 Mind Blast, and you probably should. You just need to be careful to not use the Mind Blast too early, because what you don't want is the Void Rift to like to explode before the dot has run out, or like way before the dot has run out. It's okay if it happens towards the end, but I think many people make the mistake that they Mind Blast early here, so they lose their Void Rift when they're taking the most damage, which is bad because the Rift gives you 20% more torment healing, and also there's a fuck ton of damage and healing by its own. We we kill it, of course, and now I really want to have Mindbender here normally because the spoiler on the left will do his AoE in 5 seconds. But we have a shaman in my group and he has CDs up and I API him and he uses AG, and so we're fine. You see me lag out here. My internet is kind of crappy those past days, so thankfully he has AG, because otherwise I think might have spelled trouble actually. Oh yeah, this is looking really bad on video. You can see me lagging out here. Not good. Having good internet definitely advised when you do those keys. Rank 1 key with no internet, rank 117. There's actually an 18 timed, which I think we have the timer now for that. Will be interesting to see if we can do it. I'm trying to line here. I think I get one to the face anyway. This is one of those pulls I hate actually because there's so many casters in them, and my goal here is simply to do as much damage as I can and well not die to any curses that cannot be dispelled. And also of course dispel as quick as possible if I'm actually doing a terrible job as to maximize DPS here. I don't know. I'm always mostly concerned with living first. And we have some troubles with the dispels. So I even pop Rapture here to assist with the curse healing. Oh, now I missed the tank debuff. God, I didn't even see that. He's silenced for like a whole second there. not a very interesting pull apart from you trying to squeeze a lot of damage in. You could do at least, not at least, but at least, I was gonna say double, but it's not true. Not without PI at least. But like 300, 400k more in this pull than I did here. This is another despoiler pull. With the AoE coming immediately almost. And thankfully did it before we pulled this second pack, because these curses, when they overlap with the AoE, they are very bad. Or the silence here. Oh, I cannot tell you how much I've wiped to the silence. Me getting the silence like right as the AoE hits. Because I have PI, I get to reset my Shadow Fiend very easily. I mean, just heal through it very easy. Even pop AG here. Some people have asked me about my UI, and the reason why I'm not comfortable sharing it is I'm in the process of like making changes myself. So I'm also not really a UI guy. I'm an idiot. So I don't know. I just make things work for me, and I frequently push things around, and I can maybe share my weak auras, but I definitely not share my entire UI, like a package like now UI or something, because you shouldn't take UI advice from me, frankly. I mean, some of it maybe, but not like copying my entire UI or everything. As you can see, I have like my fade duration next to my char now, and I will also have that with Flash LDR. I've since moved that a little bit upwards because it overlaps very awkwardly with big wigs. Okay, this boss. As you know, or might have known by now, is that DK is actually not doing the most damage out of all the DPS that you can take next to Enna Shaman. Of course, Enna Shaman is the undisputed king. It's actually Moon Cannon Rogue, maybe even Mage, like one of those three. It's definitely not DK. But one thing DK does exceptionally well is this boss, because they can just kind of fuck the shield on their own, and that's very good for this boss. And very, very efficiently so, because they're also very tanky, so they get to stack a lot of orbs, not needing a ton of externals here. And like, look to the top right on my group frame, he has 6 stacks and I have 2. So my goal here is always to have Mindbender ready here, and I'm always surprised by how long this actually takes the boss to do his first damage. And then I just kind of try to sequence my damage. Like, obviously, Shadow Word Death here on this part is like your prime ability that you should hold. Of course, it does a lot of damage, but it also does the most healing. So you should like listen to your heart where you need the most healing. And in between those phases, you generally have time for one more Mindbender. And I'm just kind of going there. Like, I'm not really trying to keep my own DRs up a little bit, flash healing in between, shielding people. My only goal here is to not have people be low enough to get two-shot by 2 orbs going off. I think I see an orb here and I take it. Yeah, and you see how this shield melts here. It's actually insane. I've seen groups struggle with this a lot if they don't have a DK. But DK does it really well. Again, just dodging stuff, taking my 1 orb, maybe refreshing some atonements, shielding here and there. I even bury here for no reason because the shield is gone in like a second. But I don't need it for the next pulls anyway, so actually not bad to use it here. We're debating here whether to focus the boss or the absorbs or play it safe. And we decide to play it safe. I'm actually not sure. Does it do another shield there? We'll see. Oh yeah, he will, right? So if he didn't focus the crystals here, we would just wipe because he gets an enormous shield there and you cannot clear it. So here I don't even have Rift up for this, or I rather get it late. It doesn't matter because I have 2 charges of Shadow of Death here and it will just solo heal the group. Well, it's that boss. In my opinion, this whole corridor here is the hardest part of this whole dungeon. I think there's a lot that can go wrong. It's very heavy in, I don't know, in kicks and stops, and also there's an AoE heal check and there's like puddles in between that you have to dodge. It's nasty. So the rest of this dungeon is actually kind of, I almost want to say free, at least this part here. The mob to watch here is this Forge Loader, and he does this very nasty debuff here that you can see getting on my Evoker. And I'll just pop Rapture here to pop a shield every few smites, or you will generally see me doing this. Like I don't just spam Rapture shields. I do Rapture shield into smite shield, smite shield, penance smite shield. Just anything to make the shield bigger and like to sequence it out a little bit. Because your 4-piece makes your shield bigger, right? And you can do that with smite or with penance, and penance of course makes it also bigger with wheel, the talent. Yeah, we skip those mobs here with Mindsooth, Hex, and Sleepwalker combination of those spells. And then here you're just kind of tracking the casts from the menders and trying to like snipe some of the casts with shields. It doesn't matter, these casts actually don't do any damage. You will maybe get, I think you don't even die with 2 at this key level, not even in an 18. Not sure though. Very uneventful trash, honestly. Actually skip, I'll skip ahead here. Okay. This is the more interesting trash pull, where you pull all the smallies. And you typically use CDs here and try to burst it down. Tank is very in danger here. Sometimes they start kiting here, but in my case he just bubbles. And then we get the Forge buff here that gives you 10% versatility. People sometimes forget taking this buff into account when they check the following boss for damage taken, what they need on defensives for the AoE. So they think, oh no, it does so much damage. But I think Blizzard kind of expects you to have this buff here. It gives you 10% verse, and well, it obviously also gives you 5% DR, right? So I'm a little bit in trouble here. I get hit by 2 balls, but I know I will live 2 in a row, so I just shield myself and I'm good. Generally, you should always try to look for a mob that is like sub 20% to extend your rift window and to get some more inescapable torment procs. Sometimes I do this well. If it's like an easy pull, if it's a really stressful pull, especially if it's like one of those lost pulls where like first pull Arakara, for example, I kind of suck at those. Like I don't know why, but just there's players that do a lot more damage on these first pulls than me. Because when there's like 100 mobs on my screen and there's people dying left and right, I just kind of not thinking about my damage. I'm thinking about living and not depleting the key. Okay, this boss here. You normally last this in the beginning, but we actually too quick here. And don't get the last here. I want to pause in like 10 seconds. Okay, I'll do it now. Um, before the no, exhaust vents is what it's called. Is that 10-second, I think it is 10 seconds, dot that you absolutely need to have Mindbender and Mind Blast for. Frequent mistake that people do is, or two mistakes rather, they use Shadow Fiend too late, yeah. So they only pop Shadow Fiend. Well, I'm gonna use it late here because I used it in the beginning expecting to have last, yeah. But you will see it will turn out fine because well I'm getting the last now. But back to what I was saying. First mistake is that either people are using Shadow Fiend too late, so they don't get it up for the next exhaust vents where they absolutely need it. And the second mistake I would say is they use Mind Blast too early. That's actually a mistake I made in the 16. Because you see the exhaust vents timer here, oh yeah, 3 seconds, and you expect the dot to just magically appear on your group frame. But it's actually a cast that the boss does. You see? Let's see. Here. It's it's a cast and you see all dots ink. And it takes a while until the dots actually appear. So if you Mind Blast too early, or way too early at least, you run in danger of having your rift explode before you even get to heal the dots off. That's bad. So actually do it very timely. Like I wait for the dot and then Mind Blast basically, and it's zero problem. Yeah, the difficult part is not healing this dot off. The difficult part is doing this for or managing to do this for every dot set. Yeah, and on this AoE that the boss does, you absolutely want to have Flash Heal DR, Fade, maybe even a shield or some group CD thing. Oh, here I do a mistake actually. I was meant to press Radiance, but I had to cancel it to dodge. But no problem. So I'm only looking at the exhaustance timer here. I see 10 seconds. Trying to not die here from the dodge. And then I will pop my Mindbender immediately as soon as it's ready. And I'll wait a little bit with my Mind Blast here. And then I use the penance to move. We actually get extremely lucky here. And I think we only have to move like once. That's also maybe a reason why our timer was so good. But normally you would Radiance, Mind Blast, and then wait until you have to move if you have to move, and then you press your like reprimand on the move. Here again, Mind Blast. Well, here gets spatial. Okay, so but I would play it the same, right? I would move while pressing my penance. So actually a really easy fight if you just play the dot correctly. Yeah. Don't be afraid to use your mind bend a little bit early here. And then use your mind plus on time, and then in this case just stand there, not having to move. Very good. So I'm a little bit late here. You see my mindbender is still on CD while we get the dot. Because we kill it off here. But if this lived for one more second, we would have had a death. And that's by a bad play for me, because if you rewind back, the dot we played before, I used my mindbender a little bit too late, which we talked about. You shouldn't do. Oh yeah, I do the skip here. As you can see, I'm Night Elf now. This is actually the first time I'm doing it, so I'm not sure if that's the most efficient way. Using penance for some personal movement speed, waiting until they use the charge, and then I just run in and press my Night Elf. They snap back, but no one has aggro on them, so we successfully skipped it. Mob to watch here, in general, in this whole area, is the Smasher, who does this knock cast. You need a Death CD for this, starting at maybe 16 even. So you kind of have to call on your team to rotate, like Zephyr, Barrier, or personal Death CDs. You can also like Rapture these. That's actually enough to live, I think. I'll do this here. We have Breath Shield and Rapture. So above my char name in my group frame, you can see me have a 6 million shield, and it doesn't even pop, right? Amazing. Obviously, you should also look to bait Stampede, it's called. I just call it charge from these guards, so they don't run over any DPS players. These stone shapers, they spawn a totem, right? And you should nuke that totem. Everybody knows that. What most people do not know is these mobs are absolute tank killers. Yeah. If these casts do not get interrupted, they do a fuck ton of damage on the tank. And I've seen tanks just straight up wipe on the last trash pack because they were not stopped. And yeah, that's very quick end to the key at the very last minute, basically. So don't do that. Well, it's not like you can cake, right? Your DPS can, so they should cake. That's what I'm trying to say. But you can apparently also just stun them up, so you delay the totem. That I didn't know. Okay, I need to pause here for a second. They're talking about pulling this together, and I've never seen that actually. So in my head, I'm like, oh no, they really want to throw away this key here, and I'm the only one that needs it for points. So like, in my head, I'm like, oh no, we're just gonna wipe there. Like either these two smashers are gonna one shot us, or the stone shapers are gonna um, kill our tank. And so in my head, I'm like, oh god, this is not gonna work out, is it? But well, of course we have lust here and potion. I hope I use it here. I'm kind of bad at using my combat potions sometimes. And well, we just lusted, and it just yeah, I do use it. Oh, thank God. And we just murdered a pack. I'm even focusing one of the stone shapers here, knowing that low key this is the more dangerous mob. You kind of survive the smash if you are diligent with your death CDs, but those stone shapers, if they do a totem and you don't have damage for it, of course you wipe completely, right? And this is actually, I didn't even realize this. They were like syncing it up almost, their AoE. So obviously in an 18, you might want to play this as well. I'm gonna go back for a second. Uh, like here, these smash rock casts. I didn't even realize that, but you can see it because we get 4 stacks from the debuff. So this is brutal. I think I barely live this with just Fade, and do I have Breath Shield? No, but I have the Verse buff, of course, and I have my own shield. And we like barely live it. So here was the first, and then we get the second. Boom. I'm actually kind of comfortably living it, but I should have Flash Heal DR here. That's a mistake. I would have lived this even in an 18 actually with that big of a shield. But in an 18, or now knowing that we do this pull, I should have Raptured here as well. So because the Evoker would have died here, I think, in an 18. Okay, this was actually kind of does nothing, but because we just lost it and used all CDs, it will take a lot more time than it usually does for people at this key level. There's one trick that you can do with the portals, well not you, but the Evoker, is to use Rescue on somebody to, well, to save 2 people at once with the debuffs. That's basically your goal. It's almost always like either Evoker and me getting rid of the debuffs, or if the Evoker has rescue, they just rescue someone. Well, not into the portal, but next to the portal to clear the debuffs from the Evoker and the DPS that they're saving. So there's some communication going on where's the Evoker rescuing to, and the other one I'm taking. I'm not sure, can DK even uh, AMC it? I'm not sure. Probably not, because otherwise he would have used it there. And the only time somebody ever gets in trouble is when they have the debuff and you get the overlap with the AoE puddles, which does a good amount of damage. It doesn't do too much. Like it's survivable, it's easy survivable. But it's very good if you have a Death City here. Apart from that, it's also kind of your job to see if there's people who still have the dot and do need a Death City. So you can either save them with a big Rapture Shield or a Pain Sub, of course, or even Barrier. You will see I don't even use Barrier here, there's not really a use for it. So I'm not really holding any healing for any mechanics, I'm just kind of trying to do, well, I wouldn't say max DPS because clearly I'm not doing max DPS here, but just trying to do as much damage as I can at least, while also keeping the group somewhat safe. Something that I firmly believe in is that DPS players that don't feel safe or are at low HP, they kind of behave like classic mobs in that they become slower when they are low HP. I don't know, it's not a good analogy. So I like to keep everyone safe. So first, so they don't have to watch their HP pool. And most DPS players have now a weak aura that shows them that they have a big shield, for example. So of course shields are part of your HP now, especially with this prisoner group. Yeah, you see me pop the Pain Sub on Shaman because he still has a debuff. We pop a last PI and we kill the boss. Not a lot happening here. This, again, as I said in the beginning, this ended up being the fastest 17, which was kind of surprising to me because I'm not the, well, it's obviously not because of me, right? As I keep saying always, I'm kind of mid at doing big DPS in keys. I've started to put more focus on it as the dungeons become relatively more easy to heal, and also with the I want to say, recent ascent of a sort of problematic disc priest figure in the community doing keys again. So there's been some conversation going around about how much DPS a disc priest can do. And obviously you don't want to look like a noob next to that person, so you kind of try harder. Still, doesn't mean you should forsake your main duty, which is to heal, of course. But also, you see me if you actually watch it more closely, my button inputs this key. I'm doing some weird stuff here where like radiance before mind blast, just to especially during PI and lust, to maybe get more inescapable torment procs in. And that's certainly something that you can do to push damage, like just swapping the order of Mind Plus and Radiance, because doing it that way, Mind Plus and Radiance is more healing because you get the explosion healing from the Rift into your torments. Doing it the other way around, however, especially during PI and Last, it doesn't have to, but it can mean that you get some additional, or at least two mostly, inescapable torment procs into your damage window. So that is something you can do, and of course, be on the lookout for mobs that are below 20%, so you can do a death them. And also, empowering your Rift is a big one. Because Rift is doing uncapped damage, you should always look to have a penance relatively closely to shooting out your Mind Blast, or your Rift rather. Because each penance bolt you send can be a defensive penance as well, by the way. Grows the Rift by 10%, so it does 10% more damage, which is uncapped. So in some keys even, or on some pulls, especially the first pulls of a dungeon, I'm not sure if I do it here. I probably don't, but I should have. But let's see if I do it. You can even, yeah, I don't do it, but you can even pre-radiance just to get an HD proc, which gives you 2 more penance bolts. And if you're very hungry for damage, you can even do this twice, so you have 4 extra penance bolts. So your first Mind Blast that you do in Last and PI will have 8 Rift Empowerment stacks instead of just 4 if you don't do any Radiances, or 6 when you play it normally where you just do Mind Blast into Radiance. And that is something that I'm like kind of on the lookout for, trying to push more damage. It's especially important in some keys, like I'm not even sure. I still think that single target DPS is more important, but also in bosses I like to play it safe, so even there I'm not doing the most damage. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I think the new ring might also change some things. There will certainly be some single target gem that you can put into the ring, and I think I would definitely advise to take that, because I think your biggest contribution to damage is actually single target damage when you can afford it. That's the important part, because sometimes you can, sometimes you have to hold spells like Rashanan or the second boss, for example, in Dawnbreaker, right? When you remember my video from the 18, you just cannot pop Mind Blast on CD because you need it for the Rift. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say here. And I'm one video short of completing the series, which is Mists, which is actually the hardest key for me to do a clean recording of, because I wanna talk about the mind control tech, but I'm also actually not sure how to do it most efficiently. I know you can just take the mind control and take it downstairs to the third boss as well. I'm not sure if that's something I would recommend, and I'm also not sure if I'm gonna play that in an 18, because it's actually very dangerous. So we'll see. I have an 18 mist in my bag. I'm not sure if I'm gonna time it tomorrow, because actually I've been in an 18 mist, and it's actually not an easy key. So we might fail it, but who knows? I'll time it eventually, and then I'll make a video of it, and that will complete my series. And until then, I say goodbye.